Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss the legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedoms and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, the President and General Counsel of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country in the courtrooms of America. Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedoms.
The Awakening 2011 is April 8 and 9. It is chock full of information, plenary sessions, inspiration, and worship. Hi, I'm Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel and dean of Liberty University School of Law. Joining me is Shawn Akers, who is the dean of the Helms School of Government at Liberty University. Shawn, we talked yesterday about the Awakening 2011, and you can get more information, by the way, at theawakening2011.com. But today I want to go into more detail in terms of the breakout sessions. We talked a little bit about some of the plenary sessions. The Awakening 2011 is April 8 and 9 at Liberty University. It's part of the Freedom Federation, a federation of many organizations and leaders that are faith-based and policy-oriented, united around core values, advancing those values across race, ethnic, and generational lines. And we're coming together for the Awakening 2011. Over 60 confirmed speakers, great plenary sessions, inspirational, educational, worship, repentance, celebration, all packed in one event. And today, if we can, talk a little bit about some of the 15 separate breakout sessions that's part of this event.
You know, Matt, that's going to be the greatest problem in attending this event is choosing. It's like walking up to a buffet and not knowing where to start. As you go through the topics that are going to be covered at this event, it's definitely going to be difficult to make a decision. Listen to some of these. You'll be leading one on one of the hottest topics in the nation right now, immigration, the challenge to get it right, approaching a new view, a good view, a righteous view of the immigration issue. Another one, very intriguing, the Iowa experience, a template for addressing judicial activism. What a topic to cover.
You know, it was in Iowa that 3 justices of the Iowa Supreme Court were turned out. These were on retention votes, and retention votes, people that are voted yes or no to retain their seats, always get retained. And they usually get retained in the 60% plus margin, sometimes higher than that. Well, these 3 individuals were part of a decision that ultimately said, well, we're going to sanction same-sex marriage. Well, the people rose up and responded. Never in the history of Iowa has one justice been turned out of office. Now, 3 were turned out of office because the people said this judicial activism is enough. We're going to be talking about the people who were actually involved in that experience, what they did, how they pulled it off, how they organized it, and how that can be a template in other states.
You know, here's another one, Matt, because we've got these terms that are floated around nationally. We always hear them, and often we don't really know what they mean, and we sure don't know how they're being used. One of those is social justice. We have an entire panel addressing real social justice, a proper perspective. What are you expecting out of that panel?
Well, Ryan Messmer is a Doctor of Philosophy candidate. He is also with the Heritage Foundation. They have a booklet that they have prepared on social justice. Bishop Harry Jackson Jr. is a African-American pastor. Reverend Dean Nelson is with the Frederick Douglass Foundation. Thomas Hall is with the Call to Action and other organizations. They will literally be talking about the history of what's called social justice, what real social justice is, try to address some of the misperceived or even perverted concepts of social justice. It's a big issue for the millennial generation right now. So it's very important to understand what it is not, and how you can bring a biblical perspective to this topic. In addition to that, we also have in this first series of 5 breakout sessions, we've got 3 series of 5 breakout sessions apiece. America's economic condition, the looming disaster, and how to avert a monetary collapse. Tim Phillips with the Americans for Prosperity is an organization well-versed in this area. The Honorable Ken Blackwell, again, an expert, and Grover Norquist with Americans for Tax Reform, and Mark Nuttall. If you've never heard Mark Nuttall, he will probably scare you to death with the realities of where we are in the economic situation and at the point of printing money. And we are right there. And what happens when that happens, you go into hyperinflation. He will give a very detailed but explainable, understandable presentation of where we are that you've never really heard, because he's an expert in this area. And he'll give some solutions on how we need to take immediate action to stop an economic collapse, which will come if we continue to do business as usual.
You know, this is the kind of thing, Matt, when we talk about approaching our senators and our congressmen, when we talk about taking a lead in the nation, you don't do that in ignorance. You can't do that in ignorance. You can watch TV, you can watch, the news programs and find out what's going wrong, but very seldom do you have an opportunity to get educated to make a difference. In something like this, America's economic condition, the looming disaster, and how to avert a monetary collapse. You've got a group of men here that are going to educate you not just on the portions of the pending economic troubles that you see on the news, but the reality of them, and educate you on how to make a difference in them. This is very, very exciting. And all of those are just in Breakout Session number 1.
And that's only 4. I mean, we have religious liberty and the LGBT agenda, a zero-sum game in the military and beyond. A panel of experts will be speaking on that panel. Then we have a lunch break, and we go into Breakout Session B, and these include reaching minority communities, cultural concerns, and political consequences. We have a great lineup of speakers for this particular event. Experts in the area from the Latino, the African American community will be speaking. Then Sharia law and the Constitution. Frank Gaffney is one of the nation's leaders in this area. C.C. Heil is an attorney. She works with these issues on a regular basis. Philip Jareggi, Andrea Lafferty. It is an amazing lineup on that particular panel. Using new media to message and mobilize. Gabe Joseph is one of the cutting-edge individuals for using new media to message and mobilize. And Dan Pennell, Caleb Sylvester, they are the ones who put together the Freedom Federation Network. And it is a very cutting-edge network to bring together on an electronic platform people from all different areas around the country to message and mobilize. And so we've got a lot of speakers and a lot of events. Then there's a couple of others in session Breakout B.
Confronting the culture and engaging the people of faith. And this one's going to have the Reverend Rick Scarborough, a very good friend of ours, David Brogg, who is on the forefront of many of these issues. Now, David's just recently written an incredible book that lays the foundation that shows that the good things that we find in society, Matt, stem from a Judeo-Christian worldview. Also on that panel will be Rick Joyner and Cynthia Dunbar.
Now, David Brogg graduated from Harvard Law in the same class as Barack Obama, interestingly. So he is an interesting guy. He is actually someone who will have a very interesting perspective because he is an individual who is Jewish, and but a conservative Jewish person, works very closely with John Hagee. In fact, I just was with David Brogg yesterday. Then you're going to be leading a panel running and supporting successful political campaigns.
Very excited about that one. We'll have Rick Tyler and Deborah Honeycutt and Timothy Johnson with us on that panel discussing exactly how we go about taking these political offices. How are you going to run a campaign in a way that both communicates clearly with people and gets things done effectively?
Then we go to our third section of breakouts, Breakout Section C, Abortion, Ending the Holocaust, and Defunding Planned Parenthood. We've got some experts on that panel, including Janet Folger Porter. She was the inspiration behind the bill that was introduced in Ohio, the Heartbeat Bill. We're going to be talking about some of the other bills that are going on to advance life. New Faces of Conservatism, looking forward to 2012. That's going to be an interesting and fun panel. We've got millennials on that panel. We've got seasoned individuals, African Americans, Latinos. It's going to be an interesting panel. Obamacare dismantling the monstrosity in the courts, in Congress, and in the states. So that'll be another one, a very important issue that's coming up.
National Defense and Terrorism, again with Frank Gaffney and Becky Norton Dunlap, an associate of hers named Tommy Sears, who is extraordinarily knowledgeable. Now, as you mentioned, Frank Gaffney is on the forefront nationally of both radical Islamic terrorism, Sharia law, and other terrorist threats, you can't miss. You've probably seen Frank repeatedly on news programs explaining these things. And then finally, the Kinsey fraud with Judith Reisman, Morgan Perry, and Mary Fordham. This is going to be a great panel as well.
Then they're going to be talking also about child prostitution and sex trafficking. Now, these panels, and we've had discussions with these panel leaders and these individuals who are moderators, are not just going to gloom and doom you. They're going to give you information so you know the subject matter, but they're also going to bring hope and ideas and action points on how you can make a difference. This is not just a gloom and doom panel. We're not about that. We're about changing the world. We have to understand the problem in order to change it. So go to theawakening2011.com. That's theawakening2011.com. You need tickets, but tickets are free. You can get the tickets right there at theawakening2011.com. April 8 and 9 at Liberty University.
You have been listening to Matt Staver of Liberty Counsel. Our hope is to encourage and inspire you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedoms. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email update. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.